Morning everybody, out on the morning walk again. It's warm already, it's early in the morning. So, been looking at all the political commentary over the last couple of days. I watched the podcast that Liam Tufts did with Ben Habib, watched that. I watched Carl Benjamin's interview with Rupert Lowe, and I've been watching a whole host of other podcasts and political commentators all talking about the current situation of the country. Gotta say, not impressed at all, not at all. Not impressed with Ben Habib, not impressed with Rupert Lowe. Not saying the things that I want to hear. They're giving a lot of double speak, a lot of spiel, and they do say bullshit baffles brains. And myself and others have an ability to cut through that, because we're not interested in the bullshit. We're just interested in what your solutions are for the country and how applicable they are, how likely they are to save the country. And I don't think a lot of people realise that it's already too late. 4 years is already too late. We need to be implementing these measures now if we want to save the country, and we don't have a voice in Parliament that's capable of doing that. Everybody thought it was going to be the Reform Party being our voice in Parliament, holding the government to account, and they can't do it. If they have thought about this tactically and had anything about them and have been wise, they would have realised, yeah, we might be going to Parliament with only a few MPs, but if we have the entire country behind us, if we have that lot behind us, then we have a hell of a lot more clout than just 5 MPs in Parliament, because they could have gone back to the people and said, look, they're not listening to us, guys. And then we could have had street protests, we could have had strikes to force the government's hand to implement these measures that the Reform Party was pushing through in Parliament. It's like, listen to the people or suffer their wrath. And we don't have that anymore, because the government has lost all fear of the people. Truly has. They don't serve us anymore. If Oliver Cromwell was alive now, he would have been marching on Parliament years ago with his army to arrest the King and dissolve Parliament. That's the situation wherein people don't realise. It's been reported that we're in the second month of shrinkage, so we're not in a point of no growth anymore now, country-wise, economy-wise. We're now in shrinkage. Our economy is shrinking. It's been shrinking for the past 2 months. Now, I don't know if that means we're in a recession. Some would have to tell me in the comments about that, if we're in a recession or not. I think it's after, is it after 3 months of no growth that you're in a recession? I don't know. But that's how dire things are. And obviously, if we're in a recession, Rachel Reeves has brought all these measures in to make it less likely for people to be employed, because she's put all the onus on employers to pay for employees. So obviously that's putting another overhead on them. And what happens with that? Companies are less likely to recruit, because in the current climate, there's not an excess of money, there's not an excess of cash flow for businesses, especially small businesses. So what do? If they get a higher bill for national insurance for their employees, they cut their workforces. That's what they do. So now you've got less and less people employed. You've got less and less people generating tax, with a government that is spending money like it's like water. So yeah, we are screwed at the minute. That's what a lot of people don't understand. I wasn't impressed with Ben Habib. Advance UK is just going to be another centre-right party. We don't need another centre-right party. Centre-right politics, centre-right parties are negotiators. They go into Parliament to negotiate with, if the opposition is centre-left, they go in to negotiate, and that's how things get done. But they're missing the point. The opposition isn't centre-left, it's hard left. Some might say it's radical left. So you're sending in negotiators to people who have no intentions of negotiating. They won't negotiate in good faith. So all that ends up happening is the negotiator parties go in there and all they do is surrender ground, because all they can do is negotiate. So you've got the hard left side of politics, just take, no give. And you've got these centre right parties that just keep appeasing and negotiating, and they have no strength. What needs to happen is you need a true right-wing party, a true right-wing nationalist party that goes in there, that they're not negotiators, but they're warrior MPs. They're going in there not to negotiate, they're going in there to demand change within the country. And this is where I was speaking about earlier. This is where having a movement of grassroots people, such as Tommy Robinson, a massive group of people that, if they don't give in to your demands for change within the country, you go back to the people and say, right guys, what we're doing? We shut down the country. We have a strike. We have a national strike. Bring the government to its knees. Force them to implement the changes that we need to save the country. That's what needs to happen. But it's not going to happen. That's why I truly believe now there's no political solution out of this. There isn't, unfortunately. I wish there was. But now we're firmly on the path that we're on. And we'll just have to see where this path leads us. So I would say to all my subscribers, prepare. Prepare for societal collapse. Prepare for the economy to collapse, because that's going to happen. The country is going to go bankrupt. And what's going to happen is we're going to have an early general election. The Starmer regime is going to collapse totally. I've got no doubts about that. They're going to collapse. They're going to ruin the country, and their government is going to collapse. We'll have a snap general election, and then we'll all have some kind of reform Tory coalition that won't save the country, that will just deliver more of the same. They won't be able to save the country, and we'll just be in further decline. It's not a good outlook politically. It isn't. The political outlook is an absolute shit show. It is. You know, I was hoping Rupert Lowe, you know, he was talking about unity in Carl Benjamin's interview he did with him. Unity. He wasn't talking about unity of all the right-wing parties. He was talking about cross-party unity. He was talking about trying to unify the people who've wrecked the country. The Tories, Labour, Liberal Democrats. He wants unity with those people. It's like, they just don't understand us, do they? They just don't understand at all. They haven't got a clue. They're absolutely naive. Because they don't understand what's affecting the people of this country. They haven't got a clue. You look at what Liam Tuff said to Ben Habib. He said, do you understand the working class? I don't understand the working class. And then Liam Tuff said, would you employ an advisor to understand the working class? And it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, if you don't understand the people that you're supposed to be representing, how can you represent them? And I'm sorry to be down on people's idols like Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib, but they're really not going to deliver what we need to be delivered. They're not. And that's why we've got no political solution at the minute, unless they start to listen and realise about certain things. I think Ben Habib has agreed to go and speak at the free speech rally on September the 13th, which is a good move. I hope that he takes that opportunity to get amongst the working class, not just be on stage, actually go out and speak to the crowd and listen to what they want. Rupert Lowe, he came out with the usual spiel. People think that he is right, but all I saw was cowardice. He wouldn't get behind Tom Robinson. He didn't say, oh yes, I'm going to get on stage with him. I'm going to get on stage with him. I'm going to speak to the people who I'm supposed to be representing. He didn't want any of that. Found that disappointing. And then what really knocked me about Rupert Lowe was he was getting a bit pissy because not a lot of people, I mean, he's got, what, 120,000 people signed up to his Restore UK thing. My point is, right, and this is what he doesn't understand. Money is tight at the minute. Jobs are tight at the minute. Jobs are becoming like rocking horse shit. The usual tide me over type jobs that we used to have, where if you lost your main job, you could go and do a shitty job for a bit and earn a little bit of cash, like, you know, cleaning toilets. And I'm not beyond that myself. I've been looking at those jobs myself, as well as other things. Cleaning toilets, going to work in a care home, stuff like that. Even those jobs are rare now, and there's a reason for that. All those type of jobs have been taken up by cheap foreign labour. So the jobs that native Brits could just step into for a little bit to tide them over while they get back on their feet again, they're all gone. And even if you do go from, I've been for several interviews for those sort of jobs, and you go in there and then you're up against all this diversity, equity and inclusion policy bullshit. So you get in there, have the interview, and then find out you're up against 50 or so foreign immigrants. You're not getting the job because those companies are box ticking. We have to take on a certain quota of foreign people. You're back of the queue. You're not getting the job. And that's what's happening at the minute. That's why there are a lot of people on universal credit. It's not just idle people. Yeah, there are a lot of idle people on there, and it's a certain demographic that are idle, that refuse to work, that are just draining our benefit system. But there are a lot of genuine people on there, on universal credit, that just can't get a job. And yeah, they, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. These people just don't understand. And then you've got Rupert Lowe saying it's only the price of two bad, expensive pints of beer. It's like some people can't even afford to go out and socialise at the minute because they're at the breaking point. They're literally working food to mouth, paycheck to paycheck, and they're at breaking point. It's a struggle for some people at the minute. They're literally having to decide whether, do I put food on the table? Do I buy new clothes for my kids? It's that sort of environment we're living in now. It's like people are properly up against the wall, money-wise. Money is scarce, jobs are scarce at the minute. So asking people to be members of political parties and pay money is just not an option for some people at the minute. It really isn't. They're being squeezed. I mean, they praise it themselves. They say themselves that the government is absolutely squeezing everybody for tax at the minute. So how the hell are they expected to pay money to join political parties and stuff like that when they're struggling to put food on the table for themselves? It's just, they just don't understand us. The political class don't understand us because they're from a certain sect of society. They're from the middle class to upper class. Most of them have never had to go through hardship in their lives ever. Maybe briefly for a few weeks, but not for years at a time on things, unfortunately. And that's why I don't think any of these people are going to be the leaders, the future leaders of this country. They're not. I think eventually a true working class leader will emerge. Somebody who really understands the people, who understands what they're going through, and will lead them. And everybody will get behind them. It's not happened yet. I don't think society is at the stage where it's ready for that. Because people are still going to be voting for all these centre-right parties that are just going to deliver nothing. They're not. You see what happened to the Reform Party when it went to the centre ground? Became ineffective. Totally ineffective. I never and don't get me wrong, right? The Reform Party was never supposed to be effective. It was never supposed to be effective. It was just supposed to sit there, pretend to be a right-wing party, soak up all the right-wing voters, and what happened? We got Labour. We got Labour into power, so it did its job. Did its job. I've got no doubts that the Reform Party is controlled opposition, which is why they're so lacklustre in Parliament, which is why they've got no policy. They've got no policy. They're just all over the place on everything. And people talk about Nigel Farage being Prime Minister in 2029. He's not going to be Prime Minister in 2029. He's not. He'll quit. He'll dissolve the party before that happens. He hasn't got the spine for it. Anyway, I've rambled on enough. Comment below, tell me what you think. But I don't think there's a political solution out of this anymore. Summing up, I'm thinking, no political solution out of this. I think all the solutions that people have need to be implemented now, at this point in time, if we're going to save the country. 4 years, it's too far away, and it'll all be over in 2 years, let alone 4 years, in my opinion. The way things are going, the way the country is tanking. Now, these things need to be implemented now if we're going to have any chance of saving the country. And it would be a slim chance now to save the country, implementing all the measures that we want done. So, yeah, just my thoughts on that. Comment below. If you like the content, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I shall see you all in the next video. This is Vindicator, signing off.